I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
I say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you got to do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you got to really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this.
Fighters feared Terence Crawford for any wild reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even said Canelo looked nervous just standing across from him. What makes Crawford scary isn't only his skill, but how calm he stays while reading every move. He almost never gets hit clean and punishes every mistake with perfect timing, leaving his opponents feeling helpless, like there's no way to beat him.
And that stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he trying to Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi pointed out how Terence Crawford has built one of boxing's most amazing records. He became an undisputed champion 3 different times, something almost never seen in today's sport. He did it by fighting top opponents instead of easy ones. What impressed Paulie most wasn't just the wins, but how Crawford avoided damage while dominating. His record says it all: 41 wins, 31 by knockout, and no losses. Paulie called this run historic and said Crawford's win over Canelo marked more than a victory. It felt like the start of a new era, just like when Mayweather ruled boxing. In his view, Crawford is now the face of this generation.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous, tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do, you know? It'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know. But let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly at the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Brian said watching Terence Crawford against Canelo was incredible, noting how rare it is to see perfect balance between defense and offense. Most fighters are great at one and weak at the other, but Crawford mastered both. Against Canelo, he showed that he could block and move smoothly, then instantly go on the attack and hit back hard. Brian said this all-around skill is what separates Crawford from most champions. He shuts down opponents while creating his own chances to score. For him, it was amazing to see a fighter not just avoid damage, but completely control an elite opponent with confidence and skill.
See, I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So yeah, like I thought like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo. Ever.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. Canelo said it. He goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. In a way.
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch. I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward gave huge praise to Crawford, calling him the most skilled fighter of his era. Ward, a great technician himself, said that when Crawford sets a goal, he'll do whatever it takes to achieve it. The only way to stop a fighter like him is to truly hurt him. Strategy alone won't work. Ward said Crawford's ability to switch stances, adjust under pressure, and think fast puts him in a rare group of fighters who always find a way to win. He made it clear that Crawford's success didn't happen by chance. It comes from determination, toughness, and endless hard work.
Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you got to really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this, it's different, man.
Crawford's story is also deeply personal, shaped by his family. He often remembers how his father predicted he would one day become an undisputed world champion, filling him with belief from a young age. His mother, however, doubted he would ever reach the top, but instead of giving up, he used her doubt as motivation. Every time he fought, he wanted to prove her wrong. With each win and every title, he not only fulfilled his father's dream, but also earned his mother's pride. Now, Crawford looks back with pride, knowing his success brought respect and validation to his family.
My dad used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champ.
I told me when we...
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Couldn't none whoop him.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah, the kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Crawford explained that he never aimed to become undisputed at 154 pounds because he didn't see strong competition there. For him, being undisputed isn't just about winning belts, it's about beating the best. Instead of staying at 154, he decided to move up to 168, where tougher fighters and bigger names could help build his legacy. His choice not to move down shows his confidence and hunger for harder challenges, proving that his career is driven by risk and ambition, not comfort or easy fights.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram. Yeah.
Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who was Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
What you done with Fedora, though?
But Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did.
So, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate.
Crawford also likes to show the belts he has earned, not as bragging, but as proof of his hard work and sacrifice. Each belt stands for years of effort, pain, and determination. Holding them reminds fans and critics that nothing was handed to him. He fought through tough matches, doubters, and setbacks to earn every piece of gold. For Crawford, his titles are symbols of discipline and belief, and they inspire the next generation of boxers to chase their dreams the same way he did.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, ain't got. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. We look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate. Just congratulate.
Virgil Ortiz Jr., a young rising star, praised Crawford for his latest performance, calling it absolutely beautiful. Ortiz said Crawford showed everything he needed to prove he's already one of the best and doesn't need to chase more opponents to prove anything else. From Ortiz's point of view, Crawford's legacy is already complete. Hearing that from a young, ambitious fighter shows how much the new generation respects Crawford's dominance and sees him as a true legend of the sport.
Perfect fight actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was gonna look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully, and man, I mean he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160. You know, and I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you got to do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now, I guess. He can do whatever he wants.
Crawford's dominance has also inspired other fighters to challenge him. Sebastian Fundora, known for his tall frame and aggressive style, already said he wants to face Crawford. This has been called the Crawford effect. Once a fighter becomes that dominant, everyone wants to test themselves against him to earn respect. Now, instead of Crawford chasing fights, others are lining up to fight him. It shows how powerful and influential he has become in the boxing world.
Effect is in full effect. Okay? It's in full effect. Terrence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terrence Crawford is not a draw. Terrence Crawford can't sell. Terrence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terrence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terrence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terrence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora. Okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
O'Shaquie Foster admitted he was surprised by how Crawford proved his critics wrong for years. People said Crawford hadn't faced enough top opponents or couldn't handle elite competition. But his recent wins, especially over Canelo, showed he could dominate anyone. Foster said Crawford not only ended those doubts, but also raised the bar for greatness to him. Crawford's journey proves that with hard work and patience, you can turn doubt into respect.
Yeah, I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro. And he told me months ago that he was gonna do that. And he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And they doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot. And just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters, they've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad. They all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo woo. You know what I mean? So I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
Do you think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, Terrence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something. He gonna come with it tough. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo, and that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night. Man, that boy looked good. Man, I can't lie, he looked good. Sure, I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy he beat him.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn both reacted strongly after Crawford's win over Canelo. Cobbs called it a career-defining moment, while Benn said Crawford could even retire now and still go down as one of the all-time greats. Benn mended his praise. He believes Crawford's career is already complete, with nothing left to prove. Their comments show that many in boxing see Crawford's legacy as sealed, no matter what he does next.
Sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terrence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone, though, sees Crawford as unbeatable. Some experts say that even though his win over Canelo was huge, it doesn't mean he can't lose. They point out that boxing is full of talented fighters who could give him trouble in the right fight. They believe Crawford's victory was historic, but not absolute, because in boxing, anything can happen. Even the best can be tested, and that keeps the debate about Crawford's place in history alive.
In another division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terrence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, to look at Crawford's record, he has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, they're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.